Good morning. We'll start out with praying with fire. So the caption is grasping the handicraft of the patriarchs, meaning our patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Yaakov, they've sort of made something, they've handcrafted something for us, and we have to grasp that. What does that mean? So he gives a little story, or whatever you want to call it. It says, when the Jews left Egypt, the Torah relates the following despairing scene. Pharaoh was approaching. The Jewish people raised their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians were journeying after them. And they were very frightened, and they cried out to Hashem. Their situation was desperate, and they appeared to be in doom. Pharaoh was pursuing them from one side. The sea was on the other side. Wild animals in the desert. So they were in a corner. Where do we go? Where do we go? Rashi explains that in this terrifying state, they grasped the handicraft of the patriarchs, meaning a phrase that refers to prayer. What does this mean? They grasped the handicraft of the patriarchs. It means prayer, because what defense did our patriarchs have? They didn't have guns, they didn't have tanks, they had prayer. So it says, why, Rav Yerucham Leibowitz asks, are the Jews' desperate prayers recited a moment of terror compared to the patriarchs' handicraft of regular morning, afternoon, and evening prayer? Meaning, Rav Leibowitz says that at times of need, at times of like where we have no exit, we go to the prayer. He says, but that used to be the regular mincha, aravit, and shacharit of our patriarchs. That used to be their regular prayer, not at times of pressing needs. He says his answer reveals the underlying approach to any prayer a person utters, whether good times or bad times or great challenges. For the patriarchs, there was no difference in the emotional content of despair prayers and their regular prayers. For they keenly felt, that one depends upon Hashem's kindness and protection from minute to minute. Our forefathers, for them there was no difference between a pressing time and a regular time. They knew that every single moment is Hashem's guidance. Meaning without Hashem, I will not be able to function. As we mentioned, we just drank right now. We just ate right now, right? We would not be able to do that if Hashem didn't allow it to us. We would not be able to do that. We could try, but guess what? This thing might have gotten stuck, and chas v'shalom, we might have needed a Heimlich maneuver or a visit to the hospital, or God forbid, anything else. Why was I able to drink coffee and eat a little cake? Why were you? Because Hashem allowed it. So therefore for them, for our patriarchs, that was standard operating procedure, that every moment of my life is guided by Hashem. A person has only what Hashem ordains that he should have. And thus, he is still at all times praying for his life, his success, and every morsel he consumes. Everything that you have right now is because Hashem. Sometimes some of our congregants don't come to shul. We're like, what happened? Oh, he's in a hospital. Oh, he can't get out of his bed, he's got a backache. Oh, he's whatever. It happens that you go to sleep regularly, everything's fine, and you can't get out of your bed. Why? Because the back has a problem, and you just cannot get up. Well, guess what? That day, Hashem decided that you're not going to get up. For whatever reason. And we've mentioned, what some of the reasons could be. He says, King David expressed this bedrock concept in Tehillim. He says, some with chariots, and some with horses, but we, in the name of Hashem, our God, we call out. Some people, they're with horses. Some people with all kinds of weaponry. But we only Hashem, what do we know? Trust in Hashem is a person's only true possession. Rav Nachman of Breslov describes a scene that gives rise to the emotions with which a person should approach prayer. Rav Nachman says this is how you should come into prayer. Imagine that you are in the middle of the sea with a storming rage to the very heart of the heavens. You are hanging by a thin thread, and you do not know how to save yourself. The only thing you can do is lift up your eyes to Hashem and scream out. He says that's how it's to be everyday prayer. That you're in the middle of the ocean, and there's nothing that you can do, and you're hanging on a little thread, and Hashem, please help me, Chazal, which is our rabbis, teach that we must totally rely on Hashem's mercy to succeed in every aspect of our lives. The Gemara states that it is as difficult for the omnipresent, for Hashem, to match a man and a woman for marriage as it was to accomplish the splitting of the sea. What's the big deal of splitting of the sea? Oh, splitting of the sea, he had to do something that was suspension of the laws of nature. Laws of nature is, the sea is flowing. What did he have to do? He had to go against nature. Yeah, where he has to split the sea in order for the sea to be parted ways. Similarly, providing man sustenance is also as difficult as splitting of the sea. Thus, one must pray for his sustenance and not take it for granted. Chazal, meaning our rabbis, also teach that a certain aspect of maintaining one's health are as difficult as the splitting of the sea as well. Meaning, as we see, health, parnasah, matchmaking, kids, everything is very, very difficult. So what does that mean? People sometimes ask other people that have successful children and whatever, they said, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? The only way to do it is with prayers. And when does it start? Way before the inception of the child. Here, meaning the child is not in existence. It's not in existence yet. Way before the child is born, you Hashem, please give me good children, give me good children, give me good children. And when they're here, give me good children. Let them be this, let them, why? Constant prayer. Constant prayer. Only then you could achieve something. He says, the Gemara advises one who wants wisdom to pray for mercy from Hashem, who is the source of all wisdom. He says, engaging in a lot of study without prayer does not suffice. Similarly, one who desires children must pray for mercy from Hashem. You hear what he's saying? You want to be Chacham? Says learning the books is not going to get you to be Chacham. You can learn all day, you can do whatever you want. The message is not going to get in. The information is not going to stay. Why? Because only if Hashem wills it, you'll be able to do it. So therefore, you got to open the book, you got to learn, but you have to pray to Hashem, Hashem, please, let me understand. I'm an example of this. Why? Because many years ago, you're seeing me that I'm reading, I'm explaining, downstairs I'm Gemara, this and that. It wasn't like that. Yesterday, Bet Gavril had a siyum for Masechet Sukkah. That happened to have been the first Masechet that I did with my Chavruta over here, not far away, right here. 3 years we went to that Masechet. I was sitting there like this. Dung, dung. He's telling me, you understand? I'm like, yeah. But really, I didn't understand anything. And like that, it went on for years, yeah. And slowly, I said, Hashem, please. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking. There's no lines. There's no dots. There's no ending, no beginning, no paragraphs, no nothing. What do people look at when they look in this Gemara? Yeah. And slowly, with prayers and please Hashem, prayers, all of a sudden starts to sink in. And you're like, oh wow, that's how easy it is? Or that's how easy a person could understand it? No, it's not. But with prayers, Hashem makes it easy. He says, to be able to pray properly, a person has to abandon his illusion of being the master of his own fate. He must open his grasped hand and internalize that without Hashem's constant help, his hand remains empty. The accomplished businessman has no livelihood. The robust man lacks simple function of a healthy body. Successful parents have no sense of how to bring up children. And the brilliant student cannot comprehend a word of his learning without Hashem. Yeah, people think, oh, look at him. Oh, successful businessman. He's nobody. This was already ordained before that he's going to be a successful businessman. By himself, he's nobody. Hashem is the one that's running all the wheels, and he's just there like a pawn, fulfilling all the tasks that Hashem is putting him through.
But maybe he's praying.
He prayed? Yeah, maybe he prayed. So he says, without this, we cannot. You cannot raise good children. You cannot be a chacham. You cannot, run any business without having the help of Hashem. All of these individuals are devoid of everything except through Hashem's ongoing beneficence. When a person feels his vulnerability and knows in the deepest recesses of his heart that all he has is bestowed upon him through the agency of his prayer, he too grasps the handicraft of the patriarchs. Meaning, when he knows all this, he too will understand that through prayer, I can achieve much. Now, it's easy to talk about it, but it's hard to do it. We have to internalize this. And guess what? Don't think that the first time you're going to pray, the second time, the fifth time, the 100th time you're going to pray is going to be answered. No, no, no. Hashem pushes a person to the limit to see, does he really feel that the prayer is going to do it or not? And he pushes him to the edge where he's about to say, I don't see that there's make a difference whether I pray or not. And you still push, that's when he says, okay, I'm going to answer you. You hear? And we should always have the concept of Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu had 10 tests. And like we said before, by the fifth one, sixth one, he could have said, what's going on? I think something is wrong. Maybe I miscalculated. Maybe I miscalculated this whole idea. There's one God, there's this, that. Maybe. No, he didn't miscalculate. He went on to the 10 tests. And the 10 test was the worst test according to his ideology of not bringing your children to sacrifice, yeah? And yet he said, no, I'm all for it. And that's why we always have to have this in mind. The 10 tests that he went through, that we are going to be pushed to the edge when we're praying and the prayers are not heard. I still can't get the shidduch. I still can't get that business deal. I still can't get the children to be the way they should be according to Torah. I still can't get my wife to, somehow have shalom bayit with me. I still can't. Many I still can't. Keep going. It's very hard, but keep going. Because then when the door opens, it's going to stay open. That's how it usually works. Once the door opens, it stays open. What you're trying to do is you're trying to crack the door like this. I can get it. Got it. Bam! It closes again. I almost got it. Bam! It closes again. Once you crack that door open, you're going to succeed in your prayers being answered. Yeah, exactly.
It's like
that exactly. That's where you have to be holding on. Is when you're almost giving up. That's the secret. Hold on. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen.